Okay, so in this video, kind of want to go over a different way to think of linear functions and their graphs. Now, what you see here is one of our toolkit functions, the identity function, f of x equals to x. All right, and we just want to see kind of what multiplying by certain constants will do to the graph, right? So if we see f of x is equal to x, and let's say we wanted to graph f, let's say x minus 2. Okay, so if we look, these are what are called transformations. In this case, when we have x minus 2, what that does is it takes our toolkit function and it moves it over to the right 2 units. All right, now let's say if I changed it to plus 2, plus 2. Now we see it takes that same function, all right, and it moves it over to the left 2 units. So now we kind of get an idea what, right, knowing what the parent or our toolkit function is, how some of these transformations. Now, what if I take that plus and I move it to the outside? Oh, now if we look here, move this up 2 units. All right. Now if I did minus, say minus 3. All right, so now that takes it and moves it down 3 units. Now what if I multiply this by some kind of factor, right? Let's say I do 2 times. All right. Now we see that affects kind of the slope, it kind of gets stretched upwards, right? If this value was, or compressed, I should say, a fraction, and it kind of gets stretched out, right? It doesn't rise as quickly, right? All right, and from here we can kind of introduce a variety of transformations that we can do. So this is just kind of another approach to think of graphing any kind of functions, right? When we think of whether it's linear or not, to think of it in terms of these translations. Right, now one last one that we'll see is, what does negative fx? All right. So that one is a reflection, right, across the origin, right? So things kind of get flipped around in that way. Okay, so here's an alternate when we get to like quadratics and stuff like that. It'll be helpful to understand what, if we knew the parent function or toolkit function, how these types of translations affect it without having to plot points to continue to graph these functions.